Okay, let's just jump right into it. Can you survive a metal rod going straight through your brain? I know what you're thinking. That's impossible, right? Something straight out of a horror movie. But what if I told you that for some people, it's not? The answer, believe it or not, is yes. You actually can. And that brings up the real question we're going to get into today. How? I mean, how on earth can the most complex, most delicate organ in our entire body take that kind of hit and just keep going? Now, your first thought might be, oh, it must be some brand new, high-tech, surgical miracle. And yeah, modern medicine definitely plays a huge part. But the key to understanding how this is even possible, well, it's actually buried deep in history. This isn't a new thing at all. Believe it or not, history is full of these impossible survival stories. We're talking accounts of people taking an arrow straight through the skull, gruesome impalements back in the Roman Colosseum. And maybe the most famous one of all, a railroad worker back in the 1800s who had this massive iron rod blast clean through his head. So these cases from the past tell us that survival, while incredibly rare, has always been on the table. So this gets us to the absolute core of how this works. It all comes down to what you could call the brain's real estate, because survival in these cases is, and I mean this literally, a game of millimeters. It's not that you got impaled, it's all about where. So let's break that down. When we talk about vital brain real estate, we mean very specific, absolutely critical areas. Think of them like the main power grid or the plumbing for your entire body. If one of those areas gets hit, it's catastrophic. It's almost always fatal. You see, not all brain tissue is created equal when it comes to keeping you alive moment to moment. And this chart here, it lays out this game of chance perfectly. On one side, you've got the critical no-go zones. We're talking the brainstem that controls your breathing, your heartbeat. You hit that, it's lights out instantly. Same with any major arteries. But then, on the other side, you have these survivable pathways. If an object follows an incredibly lucky path, it can snake right through parts of the frontal lobe or even empty spaces, basically playing a game of anatomical dodgeball and missing everything that's essential to keeping you alive. So it really all boils down to this one simple yet mind-boggling idea. Survival is completely dependent on the object missing all the important stuff. It has to thread a needle through the most complex structure in the known universe, somehow avoiding all the critical wires and pipes on the way through. But here's the kicker. Surviving that initial impact is only step one. Now you've got a giant foreign object lodged inside your brain. And that leads to the next huge hurdle, a real surgeon's gambit, the unbelievably delicate extraction. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, the damage is done, right? The rod's already in there. Why is just pulling it out so dangerous? Well, the thing is, that object is often acting like a plug. It's literally stopping what would otherwise be a fatal bleed. So if you just yank it out the wrong way, it's game over. And this is where that modern surgical precision is just incredible. Surgeons have actually developed this technique, and it's inspired by those old historical cases, like the guy with the arrow in his head. First, they map the object's exact path. Then, and this is the genius part, they don't just pull on it, they carefully drill around the entry point to make it wider. This creates a clean channel so they can slide the object smoothly back out the same way it came in, which prevents it from tearing any blood vessels on the way out. I mean, the delicacy involved is just wow. So when you put this all together, you start to see that surviving an injury like this isn't just one single event. It's a whole chain of near miracles. It is truly survival against all possible odds. Let's just run through that survival checklist again. First, the object has to miss all that vital real estate. Second, its path has to somehow weave around every major artery and vein. Third, the person has to survive the initial shock and actually make it to the hospital. And finally, the surgical team has to pull off a perfect extraction. Every single link in that chain has to hold. 4. That's the number. 4 impossible hurdles that have to be cleared. The astronomical odds of all 4 of those things lining up just right is what makes this so incredibly rare and so absolutely astonishing when it actually happens. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? We always think of the brain as this impossibly fragile thing, but these insane cases of survival, they make you ask a different question. What does this resilience, this ability to withstand the absolute unthinkable, teach us about the hidden strengths of the human brain? It's just a powerful reminder that there's still so much we don't understand about what we're truly capable of enduring.